on here real quick. All right. Shalom, shalom. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Shalom, mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, it's all good. Sound is good. Sound is good. Okay. Hey, first and foremost, facing the east, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Sham, Yahawashi, Sham, Barak. Those are the true names of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. All right, and that's in the Paleo Hebrew, the Lashawan Kodash. That's the holy language, the holy tongue. Yahawah is the Father's true name. That means He is, He exists. Yahawashi is the Son's true name. That means He saves, He delivers. And Rakah Kodash is how you say a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart. Second of all, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, and shalom to the Lord's hopeful elect, 144,000 men, as well as 1/3 men, women, and children, maintaining themselves, keeping the laws, commandments, and statutes to the best of their ability. Striving, pushing, and doing what they're supposed to do to try to make it into those chariots, man. All right, to make it into the kingdom, the first go around, and not suffer the second death. All right. So this lesson is brought to you in the spirit, power, and strength of Yahweh Shem Yahawashi, and it will be entitled "The Kings of the World." This will be part 5. All right, Blackrock and data centers, or data centers, however you want to say that. All right. So saw it fitting to do this due to just everything rising at this point in time, and everything that we've been talking about is coming into fruition, as the prophecy said they would. Okay, so nothing that we're not just guessing here. We're not just playing around with our time. Okay, we're buying the truth and selling it not. We're putting in effort. We're putting in time. We're being diligent. We're searching things out. We're seeking things out, and we're coming forth and proving all things via these scriptures. 1 second. It's something obstructing the view. There you go. Of the camera. All right. Just have to move it like that. All right, that's perfect. All right, so let's start in Job, the 5th chapter. I thought I had the blue letter pulled up right here. Let's start in Job, the 5th chapter, and go into how this devil is coming down on these individuals with all these different type of data centers, man. All right, and who's funding this? Who's controlling it all? Who's willing it? Who's pushing it? Who's manipulating it to be? Because this stuff is not good for the environment. It's not good for the people that it's supposed to support. Right? So this is Job 5:1. And it reads, "Call now, if there be any that will answer thee, into which of the saints wilt thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one." All right. This man is he's moving off emotions. He's very sensitive. His emotions are high. He's angry. I was watching a show yesterday titled From. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a pretty good watch, on the 4th season. And they was talking about your enemy he'll threaten you because he fears you. Okay? If your enemy didn't threaten you, he don't fear you. He doesn't really care about you. All right? So these Edomites, they're coming through with much power and much wrath because they fear what is happening to them. And they know it's out of their control. They can't stop it. So once again, verse 2, for wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. He's coming down with great wrath, Revelations 12 and 12. So wrath is going to eventually kill him. This is going to eventually be his downfall. He's going to die by the weapons that he has imagined against us. Verse 3, I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. Suddenly, Yahawashi is coming as a what? Thief in the night. Suddenly, this devil is going to be brought down in 1 hour, very quickly. So everything that he's taking root in, everything that he's establishing, this beast system, what you know as, it's going to be quickly destroyed and quickly brought down. Verse 4, his children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance. Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doeth trouble spring out of the ground, yet man is born unto trouble as the sparks fly upward. This simply goes into, furthermore, your birthday, right? You're born into captivity if you actually understand it. You're born into slavery. It's not a celebratory moment. Now, yeah, we love, having kids and things of that nature, but ultimately we're in the spirit of mourning. We're not in the spirit of mirth. And you would take it upon yourself. This is the main reason why me, myself, personally, I don't want to have any more kids, because of the state of this world. Okay? But you got our people out here that's in the spirit of myrrh, and they're not considering everything that's taking place. So they're in a foolish state, right? With the way that they're carrying on. So furthermore, going into Micah 2 and 10, not your rest. Arise ye and depart. Or you can't save Babylon, Lamentations 4 and 17 also. This place is not to be saved. Right? Let's get that real quick. I'll get it on my other phone. This is Lamentations 4. And I started 12. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversity and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. At that point in time, we was like, what? The crown city, man. The apple of Yahawah's eye, but we fell off. We went and did all this wickedness. Verse 13, for the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests, they have shed the blood of the just in the midst of her. They have wandered as blind men in the streets. They have polluted themselves with blood, so that men could not touch their garments. For the what? For the sin, right, of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests. Okay, you had a lot of so-called prophets, which was false prophets, right, that were prophesying false things in our nation, the same as today. Verse 15, they cried unto them, depart ye, it is unclean. Depart, depart, touch not. When they fled away and wandered, they said among the heathen, they shall no more sojourn there. The anger of Yahawah hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help, and our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. That's majority of our people seeking after individuals that are not going to save them, or furthermore, seeking after America. That's the same point. This place is not going to save you, man. But you're constantly trying to hold on to a such thing you call as the American dream, right? Or your career, your employer, your slave master. It's not going to work out like that. Yet man, verse Job 5 and 7, yet man is born into trouble as the sparks fly upward. I would seek unto power, and unto power would I commit my cause. So this is where you need to put your faith and trust in Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, to get up out of here, which doeth great things and unsearchable marvelous things without number. Who giveth rain upon the earth and sendeth waters unto the field? Who does that? The Most High. He controls the weather. All right? He controls every aspect of everything that's going on. To set up on high those that be low. Who is low at this point in time? Us. We are the meek. We are the ones in poverty. We are the ones check to check. We are the ones that are oppressed. Therefore, the oppressors shall soon be oppressed, which means that it's going to be a transition of rulership where we will oppress those that oppressed us once. And that's Isaiah 14 chapter. Okay. Psalms 149. These things are written, man. All right. Revelations, what's that, 13? You know, let's get that real quick. Okay. The Most High, his habitation is justice. Justice is with him. Okay. So what these individuals put in, they're going to get back out. This is Revelations 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. This is what we're waiting on. This is what we work for. This is why we go out on the corners, preach and teach. This is why we do these lessons. We apply ourselves. We be diligent. We have the patience to see this come through, to see our oppression come to an end, our captivity come to an end through the strength and power of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Okay? So keeping it going. Verse 11, to set on high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. Just stated that we're in a spirit of mourning. We're not in the spirit of myrrh. So those that mourn may be exalted to safety. Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi is going to take us up out of this place and save us. He's going to redeem us. He's going to get us up out of these bodies which are chains to us, this flesh which fights with you, and he's going to give us those everlasting bodies where we're actually going to be able to control our mind and no longer have to fight, you know, with all these different type of thoughts and things and demons that try to mess with us. All right, it's going to be peace upon the earth, and we're going to live forever. So these things is something that our nation can't believe, because these guys, such as Blackrock, such as Vanguard, such as Blackstone, they have invested billions, actually trillions of dollars into pushing out a society of death, you know, a vibration of death upon the people. Verse 12, he disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Right? So this is what the Most High is going to do to them. But as it said, he's allowing them to establish a little enterprise, right? But he's going to stop it suddenly, as we said back up here, right? I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. So you're going to see the MOTB come. You're going to see certain things build up. You're going to see, you know, drones and robots and all of that take place. People getting a Neuralink. You know, this is going to happen. We're seeing it happen, taking place. The root of the evildoers is taking root, but their habitation is suddenly going to be pulled up. It's like you suddenly pulled out a wheat, you know, some weeds out of the garden or something, right? So I got a couple videos to play. All right, going into this whole thing. And really, before I play this one, I'm going to talk about it. Because this is every single data center. This is the main companies that's dealing with these data centers right now. Okay. You got two categories of data centers. Okay. As it says, data centers, publicly traded companies. You have retail data centers, which these things have been around since the 90s. These are not new. None of these things are new. You know, it's just new to the masses because it's becoming a problem, because it's affecting them now. But data centers have been around since, you know, before I was born. Right? So it's a part of that enterprise which the Most High is going to bring down. Satan, the devil, ain't just the so-called YT man. He ain't just doing nothing overnight. He has planned and pushed certain agendas for countless decades, man. You know, all right. This thing is going farther back, all the way back to the serpent in the garden, right? If you can understand that. He has that same mindset, which that's a man. That's a man. Okay, now let's go back. Let's go to Genesis, the 25th chapter. This is Genesis 25, and I'll start at 21. And Isaac, we'll pull it up on the blue letter just for a visual. Okay. Genesis 25 and 21. And Isaac entreated Yahawah for his wife, because she was barren, and Yahawah was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. So Rebekah was barren, meaning she couldn't have babies, basically. She was, her womb was hurt. But the Most High Isaac prayed, and it came to be. Isaac prayed to Yahawah, and it came to be ultimately. Verse 22, and the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahawah. Now that struggle, that's like good versus evil, righteous versus wicked the entire time. That's what we're seeing, okay? Through Jacob and Esau, the righteous and the wicked. All right, they were struggling in the womb. So that's key. Verse 23. And Yahawah said unto her, now this wouldn't be the father exactly, this would be the prophets. Okay, he's not coming down and speaking. He's allowing his prophets to deal. So she went and inquired from the prophets. And Yahawah said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Okay, now the elder would be who? Esau, because Esau is going to come out first. And it's already prophesied for Esau to serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Right? He came out with the pigmentation of, basically a white man, a YT man. Right? Where you could see his blood, through his skin. Basically, when he gets mad, he blushes, he gets red. So he's red. Right? And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Okay? So this is important because Jacob, it showed no separation, showed no division of his color. He came out like everybody else was, melanated. Right? Now just reading that for backstory, then I want to jump over to Genesis 27. And I'll start at verse 37. Actually, verse 36. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? Actually, let's start up because to get the full story. Okay, now this is after, if you know the story, okay, Rebekah got Jacob to basically trick his father into giving him the blessing. But we read Genesis 25th chapter to let you know that the blessing, that prophecy had already been made. So this was supposed to happen. Therefore, there's no such thing as free will, and there's no such thing as Jacob basically, manipulating or nothing like that. It was supposed to happen because it's the will of the father for the elder to serve the younger. And Esau, later in Genesis 25th chapter, sold off his birthright. So honestly, it was supposed to happen like that. But Esau couldn't be man enough to admit that he sold off his birthright. All right. So, that's a pretty good summary. So I ain't going to read all that. But I'll start at 36. This is Genesis 27 and 36. And he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? And this is after Jacob got the blessing. For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? But you sold that off. So it's a false accusation. That's why you're also known as the false accuser of your brethren. because you told a lie. This is not true. It was rightly given to him because it belonged to him due to prophecy and due to you giving it away. 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. So we shall be the masters of these Edomites. We should be the masters of the entire nation in general. Okay, entire universe. We're gods, lowercase g's. All right. So that's what's taking place. And this is future prophecy. And also this also happened a little bit. We got a tease of it during King David and King Solomon's reign. Okay. Verse 37, and Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, thy master, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Right? The fatness, basically talking about the resources. Right? This man goes forth and seeks all the resources. He's indulged in all of that. He's trying to rule over all of the fatness of the earth. Verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live. So warfare. He's extremely good with warfare. And that makes him extremely good with bringing death. So his blessing is like, it's death. He loves death. He loves to bring it. And shall serve thy, and Slaki, verse 40 again, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Right? We're in that time frame. The yoke is broke off his neck. He's ruling right now. But that yoke is about to be put back on his neck, for further prophecy to be fulfilled, for us to furthermore rule over the elder. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob. Now he kept that feeling. He kept that emotion throughout all generations, throughout all reincarnations. His descendants feel that hatred towards Jacob, towards the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So therefore, with all power that he has, with every single blessing that he has, he uses his ability, as it says, on his bed, he devises wickedness. He practices wickedness just because it's in his hand. It's Micah 2:1, and 2. With every inch, every mite, every finger, every fiber in his body, he hates us. You understand? So he's constantly going to come and try to take out Jake with whatever chance he get, whatever way he can. Okay? It's no such thing as a righteous Edomite, man. So going back to this one right here. Okay. As you can see, pull it back. You have retail data centers, which are smaller, all right? But they're still effective. They do what they do. But these things have been around since the 90s. And then you have wholesale data centers, which they have been around since the 90s, but these are the large ones. These are the ones that's sitting on acres. Okay? Now, Esau has proposed a plan to put data centers at everybody's house. That's something that they want to do. All right? So they want to bring everybody into this new age where they can control everybody and track your data, right? Which they're already doing. As you can see, AWS, Azure, IBM Cloud, Twitter, Apple, Salesforce, Snapchat, TikTok, Google Cloud, Facebook, Uber, Netflix, Spotify, LinkedIn. And then these companies own damn near every other company that you're dealing with, far as apps and stuff. All right. So it is a monopoly with BlackRock, Vanguard, Blackstone having the bulk share of these companies, man. Right. So all your data, which you should be wise as a serpent, harmless as the dove. You should consider your ways and not be putting too much stuff out there. But regardless, man, Esau has you in a grid. He has you in a system. He's tracking you, and you can't stop it. All right. So the only way we're gonna get up out of here is by the strength and power of Yahawah Bashem Yahawashi. All right. So this is just showing you how all the data centers are tied into your data. That's what it is. Everything that you access, everything that you deal with. Okay. So let's keep it going. I'm gonna let this play a little bit. Fair use, fair use.
Which is owned by a company called ByteDance and LinkedIn. Now, with that overview of the 5 main publicly traded data center providers in the United States, let's look at where they actually operate. So the 7 major data center markets in the United States include Northern Virginia, Silicon Valley, the combination of New York and New Jersey, Chicago, Dallas-Fort Worth, Phoenix, and Atlanta. These markets are known as the Tier 1 markets of the United States. Let's discuss some of the key supply and demand metrics for each of these key data center markets to get a better sense of why they are so important for the 5 data center companies that we just spoke about. So first is Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is the largest data center market in the United States in terms of supply at 1,275 megawatts. Demand in Northern Virginia has been driven by large hyperscale requirements from companies like Microsoft Azure and Facebook, which has driven availability down to only 100 megawatts, equating to a vacancy rate of only 8%. Digital Realty is the largest data center operator in the Northern Virginia market and is among one of the providers contributing to Northern Virginia's 240 megawatts of data center capacity under construction. Furthermore, the Northern Virginia market has the potential to develop another 1,680 megawatts of power capacity over the coming years.
I ain't gonna go through all of this, but it just shows you the pretty much the top ones. You know what I'm saying? Northern Virginia, Silicon Valley, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, Phoenix, and Atlanta. All right. So, the ones that you would expect. Of course, Silicon Valley you've heard of. But Northern Virginia, you got to keep in mind that's where you have CIA, all the alphabets, right? FBI, NSA, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now I looked this up just now, and it says, yes, the CIA owns and operates its own specialized on-premises data centers. These facilities host heavily secured, air-gapped cloud networks not connected to the internet that are custom built in partnership with commercial tech giants. Okay, so all these alphabet things, they have data centers to go with that, of course, because they're tracking data. This is how they surveil you. They're nothing more than surveillance companies, man. High tech and government funded, government ran surveillance companies. The government is spying on you, right? That's constant. That should be known, So we can leave that one. Tying it all to Blackrock, because this is all linked to the same system, basically, which is going to be crypto, and it's going to be data centers, and it's going to be digital ID, So for them to set up a UBI, Universal Basic Income, where they can push out your money, every month to you, you're going to have to get on a certain system, which is that's called the Fed now, the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, right? That's being pushed out. And then these data centers is going to track your data, because it's also going to run beside a social credit score. All right. Now, how are they going to track that? By how you socially act. On what? On the social medias. What are you pushing out? What is your saying? What are you saying? What are you expressing to people? Are you against the government? Or are you with the government? All right. It's coming down the pipeline, man. A lot of these people we're going to see are going to shut up and disappear. Okay? Because they were paid and they didn't have a spirit. It wasn't with them. They was doing this thing for a hobby or entertainment. Well, that's what you're gonna see. Okay, and this ties into the famine of the word, man. Amos 8:11, right? So I'm gonna play this video, play a little bit of this, man, and then we'll begin to wrap it up.
January 9th, 1988, a coin on the cover of The Economist, Phoenix rising from a pile of burning dollar bills. Two numbers stamped on that coin, 10 and 2018. The article inside says that within 30 years, most of the world will be paying in a single currency, but not the dollar, also not the yen. It's something new. They called it the Phoenix. 2018 was also the year XRP hit its all-time high. My name is George Lee. This is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Drop free fire emojis if you think what I'm talking about to show you is more than a coincidence, because the people who drew that cover in 1988 are now building the very thing they predicted. And the evidence has been in plain sight for about 38 years. So what did the article actually say? Most people have seen the cover, but
Let's stop it real quick. Now, Esau, these are like left-hand prophets with these things that they're doing right here, but it's not prophecy at all, because all they do is they'll say something and then they'll come forth and do it. It's not prophecy. It's not, it's just manipulation. It's order out of chaos, right? So they do these things, and this ties into prophecy though. Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. Okay, so they expose themselves with this, talking about crypto, and this was before crypto was a thing. And they was talking about get ready for a world currency. As you can see it right there, it says get ready for a world currency. This is in 1988, man. 1988. All right. So they've been telling you, they've been giving you this narrative for decades upon decades upon decades. You can watch the movie 1984. You can watch there's plenty of movies and things, Demolition Man, things pop off the mind, right? That is telling you what they're trying to bring in and what they're working towards, which is their enterprise, right? So nothing's by coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it going.
Read what's inside it, because what's inside is stranger than the image. This is what The Economist wrote in January 1988, word for word. 30 years from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries, and some relatively poor ones, will probably be paying for their shopping with the same currency. Prices will be quoted not in dollars, yen, or D-marks, but in, let's say, the Phoenix. The Phoenix will be favored by companies and shoppers because it will be more convenient than today's national currencies, which by then will seem a quant because of much disruption to economic life. A quant cause of much disruption. That's what the dollar will look like once it's done. The Economist wasn't a fridge newsletter. It's where central bankers and finance ministers read what institutional money actually thinks. And what I thought in 1988, national currencies are the problem and single global settlement layer is the solution, even back then, and the change will take a generation. The article ends with one really important line. Pencil in the Phoenix for around 2018 and welcome it when it comes. I told you, 2018, something amazing happened. Okay, they weren't predicting this. It seemed more like a timetable. The Economist Group is majority owned by the Agnelli family through Exel, the same family behind Ferrari, right? Historical Rothschild family involvement goes back into the 1920s and is on public record. The other shareholders are at the center of European institutional finance. What matters isn't the shareholders list, it's what the publication is. The Economist is where the people who run the world's money think out loud. And in 1988, they thought the dollar has a generation left. And the thing that replaces it will be built on convenience and stability. No.
Let's stop it right there. Now, this one just came out. Like he said, it's more or less than a prediction, but more like a strategy. Like it's a timeline, how they'll give you Agenda 2030, you know what I'm saying, or Agenda 2025 or whatever it be, right? So these are timelines. They're working towards this thing. Now, saw this the other day. Breaking, US dollar recall is coming to America. Washington just confirmed plans to replace the traditional US dollar with a brand new digital version. If you hold US dollars in any bank account, you must prepare before the switch goes live. Okay? This isn't a conspiracy. It's the biggest monetary shift in 100 years. They're calling it Dollar 2.0, a new programmable version of the dollar that will replace cash and checking accounts. It will change how money moves, how it's spent, and who controls it. So, once again, a digital currency. Okay, what they have been working on for decades, what the scriptures talks about in constant places, man. You know, keeping it going a little bit more in this. More than 110 U.S. banks have already joined the plot network, building Dollar 2.0. Bank of America calls it the foundation for the next generation of U.S. money. Worldwide money for that. Even Fed Chair Jerome Powell admitted a U.S. CBDC could help maintain the dollar's international standing. Now, how did the dollar collapse? It was done on purpose. You know, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was done on purpose, man. Right? To bring in something new. So really, Esau's painting a script like they're desperate or whatever, but no, this is all for them to align and move into the world currency, world government, world judicial system, world banking, you know, world one world religion, right? So none of this is by chance. Okay. Keeping it going. Meanwhile, the world is dumping dollars. China, Russia, Brazil, even Saudi Arabia, their goal, a new de-dollarized financial system. Washington responds, recall old dollars, then replace them with a digital currency under full control of the Fed. But here's what nobody tells you. Even financial reset creates two groups. Every financial reset creates two groups. Those who lose everything overnight and those who position themselves before the switch. Where did you see this before? You saw this in the recession of 08, and you saw this in the Great Depression of 1920s. You know what I'm saying? So this is gonna happen once again, right? In this digital currency. But their solution is what? The UBI, where everybody will be on the same level. Okay? Let's go to Revelations 13. This is Revelations 13, and I'll start straight to the point. Verse 16. And he calleth all. Who is that he? That's the beast system. All right. That's the Edomites at this point in time. That's the ones that rule the earth. Job 9 and 24. The ones that's making all the major decisions. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, when you go into that word mark, it goes back to the Greek word charagma. And the root word is karax, which talks about being planted, let's get that real quick. All right. Because you have individuals out here that's teaching that it's not physical. Okay. But everything that we're showing you is showing you that it's going to be linked and it's going to be a physical thing that's going to tie you to a system. So, charagma, all right, right there. And outline biblical usage says a stamp, an imprinted mark of the stamp on the foreheads or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the anti-Hamashiach. This is physical. And the root word is karax. And furthermore, it says, all right, to sharpen, to a point, akin through the idea of scratching, a pale or state, a palisade, right? Going down to the Strongs, to sharpen to a point, akin through the idea of scratching, a stake by implication, a palisade or rampart. Circumvallation in a siege. Basically, they're going to take a needle and they're going to take the chip and they're going to inject it into your head. Or they're going to take the Neuralink and they're going to insert it, put it on your brain, which these things have already been happening. Now, what we're waiting on, all right, because what it has to be is for it to be mandatory, all right, mandatory, okay? Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Buy or sell. What is that going to? Commerce. So what is that going to? Currency. Buy or sell. So this is not talking about white women. This is not talking about Christianity. This is not talking about Islam. This is not talking about the mark being some type of religion, all right, or none of that. It's a physical chip, man. All right, what you know is a RIFID. Okay. Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. Him that has understanding, those that have wisdom, those that fear Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. That's the ones that's gonna fit, that's gonna understand what's going on. If you can't get, it doesn't resonate to you what the mark is, then you obviously don't have wisdom. You don't have understanding. The Most High doesn't, he's not dealing with you. Right? Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. Now, let's furthermore go into that. All right. It goes into G5516, and it's what? Let's play it.
Strong's G5516. Chi, Xi, Stigma. Chi, Xi, Stigma.
Chi, Psi, Stigma. And what does it mean? Okay, let's go down to the Strongs. All right. Between the 5th and 6th uses numbers denotating respectively 600, 666, right? But what do? We got to go into the root. And it goes into, let's go into the word stigma. As it says, stick, stizo, right? A mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander branded or pricked. How you do with a cow, where you take the brand and you brand it into their skin. Or I've seen it in certain movies, certain shows like Spartacus, they get branded with their master's mark, you know, so you'll know that you're a slave. You have the mark of a slave, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? That used to be a thing where they could identify you. All right. You know, you have individuals coming, they may try to spy out. They'd be like, where's your mark? And you show the mark, and then they'll be like, all right, it's all good. You know, that's your mark or whatever. You know. So that's how it's going to be now. You know, this is what? This is Rome 2.0. All right. Because back in the day, they did a similar thing with branding people. But this is the one where it's you know, this is, man, you got to resist. All right. You take this thing, it's no repenting. You know, it's over for you. So let's keep it going. Get a little bit more of this. We're going to begin to wrap it up.
National politics. The world's largest asset manager is Blackrock, right? $14 trillion. The man who runs it, Larry Fink, we've spoken about him a lot, has spent the last 2 years making the same argument.
And he's just a puppet. All right. That's all he is. He's a puppet. He said what he needed to say earlier in the video because he said the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers is running everything, right? With the companies that he mentioned earlier. So BlackRock is what you know as an investment company. BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard. These are investment companies. The title being the kings of the world, okay? These kings, which are ruling the earth at this point in time, they are the banking families, the elite of the Edomites, the Amalekites, okay? The small hats, whatever you want to call them. So they're behind the money that's in BlackRock, and they're invested it in whatever they want to invest in. You have certain things in the stock market called hedge funds, where they can pull out millions of dollars and they can drop a stock drastically, or they can throw in millions of dollars or billions of dollars and they can raise a stock drastically. And that'll determine that the future of that company, right? So really, BlackRock, okay, Blackstone, Vanguard, they can alter a company's, you know, outlook. This is why Tesla rose how it did, because Elon is with them. So they made sure that his stock goes up. This is why Apple is up, Google is up, Amazon is up, all right, Netflix is up. You know, anything that they're in and they're supporting, they're going to make sure that it goes up. They control the stock market. They control the flow of money. So with that being said, they could crash the dollar if they wanted to and bring in what they want to bring in. All right. Man, let's get a preset real quick. This is Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. You always hear about individuals getting in trouble and they'd be like, yeah, man, you need to get you a Jew lawyer, right? A Jew lawyer. Wow, because they know how to manipulate the system, right? They can get a murder out of a murder trial, and he did it. They can get you up out of that. You get you a Jew lawyer, because they write these decrees, they write these laws, but they also know how to break them. They also know how to move around them. It's scapegoats in every single law. All right. So they manipulating these things, such as Trump. This guy, what was the company that just went up? I saw it on the internet, but basically he had invested $1 to $5 million into this company last year. And this year the government took a contract with that company, and Trump made basically billions, off of that, because he knew. So that's what you call inside trading. Now that right there is a crime. You can get locked up for many years for that. But is he gonna get touched? Is he gonna get time? No, he's the president. This is inside trading. These are the insiders. They are juiced in. This dude, since he's been president and since this war has been going on, he's made billions of dollars. The same way that back in 2020, 2021, all those companies made billions of dollars. The same way since this war started in February, those gas companies have made billions of dollars. So nothing's by coincidence, man. They come forth, bring these laws, manipulate the prices, manipulate everything that's going. The fatness of the earth, as we read earlier in Genesis, the 27th chapter, the resources. They manipulate it all to fatten their pockets, right? So furthermore, just to end this little, Larry Fink, this dude is a puppet, and the bankers are behind him. All right, let's keep it going.
With different words. Larry Fink soundstage at Davos alongside the president of the European Central Bank and the CEO of Citadel, and he said this:
We have one common blockchain. We will, we can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which
$14 trillion, one common blockchain. And Blackrock isn't just talking. They run the world's largest tokenized fund right now. BUIDL has grown to $2.5 billion. They hold $150 billion in digital assets, $65 billion in stablecoin reserves, and XRP ETF is in front of the SEC. In his 2026 annual letter, Fink actually described it as a bridge being built from both sides of a river. Traditional institutions on one end and public blockchains and stablecoin issuers on the other, both building toward the middle. And what Fink builds from the institutional end, the CEO of the world's biggest crypto exchange, is describing the same bridge from the other direction.
Right? I mean, if you're swiping a credit card, the merchant is losing 2 to 3% on that transaction. If you're sending a wire transfer, it can take half a day and cost $50. And so if you look at the three ways I like to look at payments: are they fast, are they cheap, and are they global? Do they work in every country of the world? And crypto rails are the only ones that check all three of those boxes. We're seeing tokenization take off as well. I think there's some estimates that it'll be about 30 trillion by the year 2030 or something like that.
It's not coincidence that he said 2030. These media guys, they got a script. Now, the point that he was saying is that crypto hits every box. This is the solution to everybody's problem. And that stablecoin, dude mentioned stablecoin. That's something that the U.S., the government made. I'm gonna read this. A stablecoin is a type of cryptocurrency designed to maintain a fixed value by pegging it to a reserve asset, such as a fiat currency like the U.S. dollar or a commodity like gold. It combines the rapid, secure, and borderless nature of digital assets with the reliable price stability of traditional money. Right? So stablecoin and stability is going to have a fixed asset. It's trying to make something be, a certain price for however long. And then they control that price if it goes up. So the same way with the dollar, the same way with the stock exchange, they're going to control the crypto. Where crypto was designed and created, I believe it was actually created by Jake, but I have to look more into that. But it was actually created to give the people some freedom. And people actually had a false hope in sensing it. But then once the government got involved in it and they took it over, you know, it was like, this is it. This is the thing. This is we can use this just the same way that they use the internet, or the same way that they use hip hop, you know, where hip hop started in a sense of a positive way, but they took it in the 90s, they sat down and said, let's make gangster rap. Let's destroy these people with their invention that they made. You know, Esau goes forth and takes something that's good, such as the earth. The earth is perfectly good. But Esau took it, and now he's poisoning it, he's destroying it, and he's talking about there's not enough food on it. When if you took care of it and you did the land Sabbath and you did what you're supposed to do with it, it would be stronger and stronger as it goes on. But now, through your rulership, the earth is weak. This is why the nations are mad at you, according to Revelations 11 and 18, man. Right? So this is just more of the same. Your stable coins, your XRP, your Bitcoins, your what they got, your Ethereum, all these different type of imaginations. These are imaginations. These are devices of Satan. Right? So I'm gonna let this play a little bit more, and then I got one more slide to read, and we're gonna get up out of here.
$30 trillion by 2030. The CEO of Coinbase on Fox Business calling crypto the most efficient payment rails on earth. The CEO of Blackrock and Davos calling for one common blockchain. Same bridge, different ends. Swift goes live on blockchain in June. The NYSE and NASDAQ are already running tokenized security pilots. $30 trillion market, Armstrong described is moving into theory. Armstrong described is moving from theory to live infrastructure right now. But here's the crazy thing. Most people watching this will see it clearly and still go in without a plan. No yield on what they hold, no framework for how much to add, and making decisions while the price is already moving. That's the gap, guys. We work on this channel with a small amount of people, one-on-one. You're going to have a senior coach. Your portfolio will be... All
right, we're good. He doing selfless plugs now. All right, so let's keep it going. All right, so over here I typed in, does BlackRock own data centers, to bring it full circle? And it said, yes, BlackRock owns and invests in data centers. The firm has made massive multi-billion-dollar forays into the physical infrastructure required for artificial intelligence and cloud computing. Now, it's funny because I just thought about that, and I thought about it the other day a little bit. They call it the cloud, where all your data is kept. Where all your data is kept, they're tracking you through the cloud. What is Yahawashi coming on? Coming on the cloud, man. You know, they're trying to play the Most High, and it's in a mocking tone that this devil has took. You know, it's all in the cloud. All right, you're not the Most High. Let's get a precept, because that's how the Most High is looking at everybody. All right. What's that in Sirach? This is my phone moving so slow. One second. That's the thing with this damn technology, and it's still ass. Like, this is Sirach 23 and 19. And it reads, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of Yahawah are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, considering the most secret parts. Now, the Most High is not getting off his throne and coming to look at you. No, he's sending forth the Halalyam, the angels, via the chariots, the clouds. And this is how he's getting all the reports about everybody on the planet. Yo, what is that brother doing down there? Let me get this report. What's this individual doing? Let me get the report. Oh, this individual repenting? That's the report. Oh, he teaching? That's the report. Boom. All the reports is coming in. They're being relayed. You know, same thing as prayers. Let's go over to the book of Tobit. The Most High sends out the Halalyam, the angels. This is Tobit in the 12th chapter, verse 15. I am Rafa'ala, one of the 7 holy angels, which present the prayers of the saints and which go in and out before the glory of the Holy One. So one of the 7 holy angels which present the prayers of the saints, which go in and out. They go in and out of the throne room where Yahawah and Yahawashi are, presenting the prayers. Now, if you're not living correctly and properly according to the laws, commandments, and statutes and keeping the faith of Yahawashi, then your prayers are what? They're an abomination. The Most High is not even going to hear them because it's no weight to him. You don't care. You're not doing what he said to do. So therefore, why would he listen to what you have to say? It's not a mutual love there. You love him and he's going to love you back. And you can't love him enough, as the scripture states. You can't praise him enough. However much you praise him, he's going to reward you 10 times that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we got to put on as the elect and do what we're supposed to do, because the Most High is merciful. He's everlasting mercy. You know, he's bearing with us. It's a precept where he knows that the man's life is short, basically. So he gives us mercy, because our life is like 100 years, if that. You can't get no 100 years in Esau's damn kingdom, man. You know, that's rare these days, right? You know, the way that it's set up with all these chemicals and stuff killing you early. So, but the point is that the Most High knows what's going on down here. So therefore he gives us mercy. He sends his prophets out, his servants, to give people a chance to repent and get right. He understands the situation that's going. He controls it. He made it happen. He put you in a test and he wants you to pick the right answers. Now, how do you pick the right answer? You don't go into the test unprepared. You study, pray, fast, learn the material, reading the word, getting the proper understanding, going to the classes, taking notes. Then when the test comes, you're ready. I want to go into the test ready, knowing what the information is, you know, and I studied on it, you know, and I'm ready for it. I feel confident in that. And this truth gives you confidence in life. Okay, it gives you confidence knowing past, present, and future, what's truly going on. Right? So, furthermore, wrapping it up, you can read a little bit of this. Allied data centers, through its infrastructure on global infrastructure partners and an artificial intelligence infrastructure partnership, Blackrock led a massive consortium, including Microsoft and NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a main thing to be watching, and they're like the #1 company now, all right, just off of these data centers, because they're heavy in producing the chips. They went from producing computer chips, to my gamers out there, you know what I'm talking about, to producing data center equipment, RFIDs and things of that nature. This is why Taiwan is such a major target for China, because they produce 60% of the world's chips, RFIDs, right? So Microsoft and NVIDIA to acquire Aligned data centers in a deal valued at $40 billion. This operator has dozens of campuses across the Americas. And like I said, data centers are not new. They started around the 80s and the 90s. And they're only known to people now because they're a problem and it's raising people's water bills and electricity bills and all of this. So people is actually caring now. You know, people don't care about the fire till you get close to their house. That's how Americans is. Yeah, that shit ain't affecting me. I don't care about that. This is how people is too. Jake don't care about Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi and knowing him until he on your ass with them nukes. You don't care about getting right. All right, let's get a precept pertaining to that, man. You gotta stop, man. You gotta stop acting like you got all year. You don't. This is Sirach 5 and 7. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. If you align with Esau, you're going to be took out with Esau. Okay, suddenly, because that's how his kingdom is going to be destroyed. Suddenly, as we read in Job, the 5th chapter. Suddenly, he pulls up the roots, the habitation of the wicked. Suddenly, all right, his empire collapses. Suddenly, Yahawashi is coming as a thief in the night, man. So, you people that feel that you're in a comfortable place, you're in a good place. Hey, if you're an Israelite, you're a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, you need to turn back. You need to repent. You need to convert, reform your mind. All right, subdue your own understanding. Okay, and seek out Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. Not no APTTMH, not TMH, not Yah, not Yahweh, not Yeshua, not Yahuwah, not Jesus, not JC, but Yahawah, the Father, and Yahawashi, the Son. That's the only way we getting up out of here, man, with the correct doctrine, the proper understanding. Okay, reading a little bit more. Blackrock formed an initiative with Microsoft and MGX to build new and expand existing data centers to meet the skyrocketing global demand for computing power. All right, and who else is heavy with this? Moab. Now you have a group over there which are actually Edomites, but they look like Moabites, which is known as the Lee family. The Lee family. All right, and they're similar to the Rothschilds and Rockefellers, but just in China. You have these Edomites in all these different type of countries. You have the same up there in Canada, you know. So these elites in all these different countries, man, and they're working towards the same goal. You got same individuals in Russia. Russia is not excused from this. They want to chip everybody as well. All right, China wants to. China already got the social credit score system up and AI running heavy, so it's all coming down the pipeline, man. You can't escape this. The only way out is Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi. You know what I'm saying? I'll just see what this saying. AWS, and I think that was on. Let's go back to this one. AWS was on this right here. All right, as you can see. Who owns, because it said who owns the most data centers? AWS, right there. So basically everything that people are watching, you're dealing with, you know, it's all attached to these data centers, and your data is being tracked, and it's owned by BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, the small hats, etc., etc. They have they know everything about you, because they trying to be the most high, point blank, period. You know, they want to be Yahawah, they want to be Yahawashi. All right. So, hey, with that being said, man, I'm going to end it right there. Pray this was edifying. Facing the east, giving all praise, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. As always, double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone, which rule well and teach well and sincerity taught us this truth. And shalom to the Lord, so free let. Salaki. Kwam Yasha'Allah, and a Bible ball. Until next time, keep the faith. Shalom, shalom.